guys, Dragonath here. Today I'll be bringing you, sorry it's a little bit late, unfortunately I've been having to wait for stuff and I've had uni exams and shit going on. But I'll be bringing you my post-Primal Origins Noble Knight deck profile. So, let's get into it. Obviously, 3 Madrawt, 3 boars, stock standard. Still running 2 Dristan. He's come in handy. Like, I tend to sideboard him out a lot in slower matchups because he's not going to get me the win a lot of the time. And in faster matchups I side him out. In slower matchups I'll leave him in because he can just go pop, 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 pop. But yeah, he's easily sideboarded out and left at 1. I run 2 brothers. I've found this card exceptionally good. There's a lot of things that you can do with this guy that he opens up so many new things in the deck. You can leave him and boars out and basically go +2 every turn. You get 1 to your hand, 2 go to your grave, you shuffle 2 and another 1 back into your deck and you get to draw another card. This guy late game is ridiculous with that effect. And if you have 2 of them out, you can use both of their effects and just keep shuffling and cycling in and drawing. Of course, the early game effect where you can summon out 2 is also really nice. He doesn't work well with Madrawt, unfortunately. But, you know, generally I don't have a problem with him not working well with Madrawt. I can do other combos because of all the different Noble Knights I run. You'll notice that I run a lot of different Noble Knights in this. I do run the field spell. I do run a lot of different Noble Knights. I've found that when I get to late game, I can out-duel practically everyone because of how well running all of them works. But yeah, the 2400 defense actually does come in handy a lot too. When I get double Exitons on my rank 5 guy, my Sacred King, I can go into this guy if I don't have one of him in the grave already, and sit him out in 2400 defense, and an Exiton and a lot of other rank 4s probably won't be getting past that, and they can't steal it. Well, they can black corn it, but they probably usually don't. Not a lot of people have been running that from where I am at the moment, but you know, after the people summon Exitons, they usually don't have a lot anyway, so it's not much of a threat. But this guy actually is, I wouldn't run him at 3 at the moment. 2 is a very good number. He actually is very, very nice. I do recommend you guys try this guy out at 2. 1 I don't think would be enough, and 3 I think is too much. I think 2 is a very nice number for this guy. And he does do wonders for the deck. He's got the early game potential to get out 3. And he's got the late game potential just to be Digust Emerald. 1 Galahad, because he is absolutely amazing with Gwen. Now, again, this guy is very subjective to whether I want to play him at 1 or at 2. Lately, having 2 of him has not been helping me. Almost better having a Peridot in here. This guy was very, very good, and he's good with people that don't run the Dristan or don't run Brothers, and they just like to run the old Noble Knights. But this is a new Noble Knights. I find myself a lot of the time discarding him or using the round table to send him to the grave just so I can use Galahad. Like, if you run 1-1, you have a Gwen in the grave and this in the grave, and you top deck Galahad, at least you can go into, you know, a rank 4. If you top deck a Gawain and you have a Gawain in the grave, you're not doing a lot. Although he is good to be used as bait to banish out for Ector. 1 Highland slot. This card is really, really good. He just gets so many combos off when you have like a Gwen or Excalibur and first turn another Noble Arms and you have him to draw it. You go into this guy and sack him and you search out a Noble Arms. Or like I've explained before, you can go and draw it into Black Lancelot, special summon out Gawain, go into Lava Volchain, send Lady to the lake, and use Lady to eat his level and go into High Lancelot. Like, You can do the same with Nectar, really. But, you know, it's just, I don't understand why people wouldn't run him, because he just opens up so many different things. The E-ruler of the deck. This guy does so much. You know, the fact that you can banish out guys for once to get out a summon, you know, from hand or grave. It just, he helps the deck so much to run it at 1. And there's also a trick with these two guys. Whereas, if you have one in the hand, one in the grave, and you have Sacred King in your extra deck still, oh, sorry, on the field. So you have Sacred King on the field. What you can do, if you have one of these two guys in the grave, doesn't matter, and the other one's in your hand, is you can tribute him to summon one, then his effect will go off, and he'll get the other one from the grave. This is probably saying like you've got him, he's locked down with something, maybe he's finished chained and he's got no materials or nothing on him. Alright? So you've normal summoned this guy out, and you special summon him out, and then if you got the second one in your extra deck, you go back into another one. Like, it's just, it opens up things that you wouldn't normally think of that you can do in this deck. But you can do that. Because his effect is when he sends from the field to the grave, you get it off. I know I just got rid of my pile, but... one Artorigus, because he basically just sends to the grave fodder. I run 2 lady. I don't like 1 lady. I like 2. I mean, if I find that I run 1, I find that I just never get her off enough. And if I'm running 1, it feels like this guy is just useless to have in the deck. So I take him out. Like, I sideboard these 2 out if I need. But I like her at 2. I do get her plays off a lot at 2. A lot of the time if I get 1 off, I'll end up getting another 1 off. Like, I don't find a reason why not to run 2. And last of all, which is more of a spell card in this deck, I run 2 Gwen. Reason why? I hear people saying run 1. I really do suggest running 2, because if you've got 1 stuck on one of your cards and you can't get rid of it, having the second one really helps. Like, I've had too many games where I've had 1 equipped to a guy and I wanted to equip the other one, but no, don't have the other one. I've had too many games where people send my Gwen back into my deck and then I'm fucked. I've had too many games where people go DD Crow on your Gwen, and if that was my only Gwen, I'd be fucked. Like, almost everyone I know is siding DD Crow, especially against Noble Knights, because they know you hit this, you're going to slow them down a lot. This was a godsend when it came out. I do suggest you guys run this at 2. She will save your ass at 2. It's even better when you can equip 2 onto a Boars, like in defense mode, and then have to attack into it twice, and they still lose their monster. Well, 2 monsters, because you can activate 1 each battle step. Alright, spells. Book of Moon, because this card is brilliant in this deck. I run 1 Soul Charge. Some people run 2. I did a really funny thing with Soul Charge the other day, which actually comes up to a card that I have later, and I'll get into that later, but this card, even at 1, just does so much. It does it with every single deck though. But this is better, because then you can set up your back row. 1 Foolish, because you need Foolish for everything. 1 Rotor, because that should be at 2. Well, everyone wants it at 2. 2 Lance. Now, again, this is subjective. Lance is amazing in this deck, but because I have so little room, I'm not running Lance and MST. So that's Lance or MST. And that's just because of how little room Noble Knights have, because they have to run Noble Arms as well. And that's one thing that loses out for Noble Knights, is the fact that we have to run Noble Arms in order to run the deck. And it uses up so much room. 2 Destiny, I don't understand why anyone would run 3. You run 2, you can only have 1 on the field at any point in time. 2 in your hand is dead. What's the point of having 3? Other than you want a 100% chance of ballsing 1. That's just pointless. 2 Excalibur. Now this card, I have really been considering running at 3, especially in elongated games. If I only have 1 in the grave, and I banish that out, I'm screwed because then I've lost anything that stops with targeting. After you banish 1 out, you still feel safer having 2 in your grave. In the way that a lot of the times, especially late game, I'll have 2 boss monsters out. Both of them I want to protect somehow, like stop targeting on them. If I only have 1 Excalibur because I've already used the other one, it really limits my choices of, am I going to hold on to this, or am I going to use this to rank up or rank down? Because once they're both gone, that's it. In saying that, running 3 might be risky because you could just keep top decking that, and it's not necessarily the one that you want the most because it doesn't re-equip manually, but this is still a good card, and you can have more than 1 copy on, so you can put 3 on 1 guy and go, your turn, try to, target it. It get annoying. I run 1 Gallatin. I used to run 2. I like 2. Unfortunately, I just don't have room for it. 1 Caliburn, because don't run 2, just run 1. You don't need 2. The life gain is amazing, especially with Soul Charge being near, but I don't need any more than that. I run 1 Arth, and I run 1 Sideboard as well, because I do like the number 10 when it comes to Noble Arms in my deck. And if you've counted so far, there are 9, including Gwen. This deck has so many interactions with DNA Surgery, and a few other cards, which I'll talk about later, that, even if you equip it on your opponent's warrior monster and use that to pop their face balance, this card is pretty good. At least run a second one on the sideboard, because having that second one can change games. It's a little unorthodox to run a card like that in the sideboard, but trust me, it's pretty good. And of course, I run 2 Noble Knights of the Round Table. Now, this card is very subjective to how people want to play. If you're playing this kind of variant, the new variant, this card, if you just use its 3 effect once, you've got a Foolish Burial off of it. And you could probably get rid of a field spell at the same time. This card can be pretty slow, and it can also intimidate your opponents to just NST it and get rid of it. If not, late game, this card just rips apart everyone and everything. You can also use Brother's Effect to put this back into the deck so you can search it because it's a Noble Knight card. But yeah, generally once you get to late game and you got this out, you were just chugging through cards just over and over and over. A lot of the variations I see people run at the moment are focused on early game, trying to win early. But the deck doesn't generally win like that. You're not going to go Excalibur, Blade Armor, attack for game, turn 2. Very rarely will the deck ever do that. But at least this means once I get to about turn 4, I'm chugging through cards, I'm sending cards to the grave, adding to my hand. And once it's about turn 6, I'm basically adding 1 to my hand every turn. And I can easily keep things at 12 with Brothers. It's not a problem at all. Especially summoning Brothers Day out in defense isn't a bad idea. And you can also use your Dristan's effect because it's mandatory to use. But yeah, I do suggest people try this card out. It's not the best card in the world, but it's not a bad card, and it does really help mid to late game consistency with this. You can just out-duel almost everyone with this card because it gives you so many resources late game. Alright, traps. Not a lot to it. I run 2 Karma Cut. I like 3 Karma Cut. Unfortunately, again, I don't have the room for 3. Again, I would like to reiterate, I have 2 Lady Lakes, 2 Gwen, an Artorigus, an Ektar, a High Lancelot. I have 7 cards at the moment which are free, almost literally entirely free discards. And then I also have Gwen, which I'm running 2 of, which at the moment, the way that I'm seeing this deck being run, is pretty much a free discard in himself as well. Free discards in this deck can clear up a lot of the clutter that you have, especially this, against hands which are big at the moment. You karma cut an ice hand and they have any ice hands in the grave, you're going to banish out the ones that have in the grave and the one in the field, and they're not going to get the search effect for the fire hand. Or do it on the fire hand, you're not going to get search effect for the ice hand. This card is just becoming increasingly better with the current cards in the meta. It's not like Bottomless, which requires a 1500 attack. You can get past Nadolches, you can get past, raccoons and shit. It's a card that I'm very fond of because of what it does, and it just also looks very good. And one Solemn Warning, one Treasure Tribute, and one a compulsory evacuation device, because, like I said, I don't like Bottomless. Extra deck time. Obviously, 2 of them because I run 2 ladies, 2 of them because you have to run 2 of them, and 2 of the rank 5s because, yeah, and that's pretty nice. 1 Excalibur, because I decided hitting people with 4K is pretty fun, especially when I'm having troubles getting over a wall. Not much else I need to say about that. Gandiva, because Madolches are starting to be very, very annoying. Isn't that right, Mr. Cameraman?
Yes.
This card will not kill off Madolches, because they'll still get their search and shit, but it will slow down Madolches. If I'm against Madolches, I get this out and I sit them on the field and I slow them down for a couple turns until I can pick up. I run 1 Tsukiyomi. The reason why I run this, because on the rare event that I need to discard and draw a couple of cards, maybe I have a Gwen in my hand or an Ector or something, and discarding that just means I get 2 free draws. This guy can come in handy. Again, I don't see a lot of people playing him, I don't get him out a lot. He is just an option. Lava Volchain, you must run this. This card is incredible. This card does a lot. This card will help you in places where you're screwed. Like I said earlier, you can use the Madrot, Ector or Highland Slot combo plus Gawain to get him out, send Lady to the Lake, to the grave, or Gwen if you need it. And Lady of the Lake can hit the level 5s, level by 1, and then you can go into this guy. Simple. Khan Gorgon Anti-Luminescent Knight. What a fucking sweet name. I don't know why he has blonde hair though, if that's blonde hair. I think it is. This guy is really good when you're coming up against people that like to destroy off your Excalibur and then target your guy and perhaps take control of it. Or if you're coming up against people that like to MST a lot, you can redirect the MST. It has to be a valid target, unfortunately, which is annoying, but it does work against MSTs and shit. Especially if you see someone like setting up like Pot of Duality or something, or you're just suspecting they're going to try target and pop. That guy can save the deck so much. Sally's Paladino. I can run 2 of this guy if I want. He's amazing. He's won me a fair few games. Decrease your attack to 0 and attack through, and when he dies off, you draw a card. I run this over Honorak any day in this deck. He does the same job, but when he goes, you get a draw. And he's Warrior, so you can also equip him as well. So, unlike Honorak, who dies to Black Corn, this guy can potentially not die because you can equip him with Noble Arm cards, except for Excalibur and Lady. Abyss Dweller, because decks that use grave stuff are big at the moment. Screwing up your opponent helps you a lot. Screw up Madolche, screw up Bujin, screw up everything. Unfortunately, they're not water type, so it doesn't get the 2200 attack, but it doesn't matter, it's still really good. 1 Concealado Maker, because there are so many games I start with a dead hand, And the only thing I can do is go into this guy because it's the only safe option. And in the case that he gets, laid down with shit, I can always go into M7. It's also the option that if I need a beater that's over 25, I can do that and then go into him and then attack 27 with him. Like, it's just opening up those options that are otherwise, a lot harder to get past. Extra deck. I made a whole video about this and why I picked the cards.
Side deck.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, side deck. Yeah. Sorry. Side deck. I'm a bit tired at the moment. I made a whole video about this, which I will put in the link down the bottom as to why and what matchups there are. The reason why I did that is because I should probably do this singularly, really. There's 2 Imperial Iron Walls, 2 DNA Surgeries, 1 Arth, which a lot of the time goes with the DNA Surgery, like I was explaining earlier, make them warriors and increase their attack. 2 Debunks, because it does everything at the moment. 1 Soul Drain, because that card should be at 2, not at 1. Konami, please. That card doesn't deserve to be at 1, it deserves to be at 2 at least. Rivalry of Warlords, because it screws up decks like Indulces. Yeah, I hate Indulces. Cards of Colosseum, because it screws up a lot of decks except Bujins, but you have a good Bujin matchup. 2 Effect Failures, because you should run this in sideboard. Not mainboard, it's not good mainboard for this deck in particular. Other decks is very good in. This is the sideboard card. And I don't have the Divine Wrath in here at the moment because I'm running the Epidemic Eradicator Virus, because if you put Gallatin on Madrot or Boars, or Peridot, if you're running Peridot, I guess, or if you put at least a Caliburn onto Black Lancelot, or if you put a Caliburn onto High Lancelot, or if you put a Gallatin on Ector, you will have your Dark Monster with 2500 attack or more. And against certain decks like Prophecy Spellbook, that is going to save your ass if you manage to pull that off. Also, it's good against certain decks which want to return your cards to the deck, like Dolces, funnily enough, like Tiramisu, where you can chain this to Tiramisu's effect and sack your guy and say like spells or traps and just get rid of their spells and traps. It's very plausible on this, and it does help a lot. Now, here's something a little bit more subjective. They're just extra tips and tricks and extra cards that you can run in the deck that I'm not running myself, but are plausible. Different Dimension Ground, because you'll banish any monster that's sent to the grave for the turn. It's like running Macros Cosmos, but you can do it just for 1 turn so you don't screw yourself up. Avalon is a jank card, but I can imagine people trying to run 1 because blowing up the field isn't such a bad idea at the moment. Trap Stun, because decks do traps, you're weak to traps. Trap Stun is good in this. That's about it. Labyrinth of Might. Very subjective. But this card makes some plays which are quite unique. If you have, for example, Brothers out, you have 2 Brothers and something else, you can attack with all 3 cards because you have 3 Noble Light monsters. Oh, it has to be Noble Light, of course, the other one. 3 Noble Light monsters, attack with them. At the end of your turn, they'll go to defense, so they go to 2400 defense. Also can work with Honest to go Honest down, attack with Honest and put defense. Again, another card I'm not running at the moment because I don't have room and I don't really need Honest. Just in general getting somewhere in the future. At the moment, summon limit. Because your cards are so strong, and you don't need to summon a lot in general, or you can play it during your turn and after your turn. This card is like, if you can't afford Maxi, if you don't want to run Maxi, because your opponent's going to kill you before your drawing is going to get you anywhere. You can run this and say, look, you can summon twice. If you run Rivalry or Rivalry Kaiser and something else, you just completely lock down your opponent and what they're trying to do. Like, this can get pretty funny, this card. And again, there are times you do want to spam out summons with Noble Knights, but in general, it's not going to hurt you a lot. Generally, the biggest your combos usually are 3 summons, but then again, because you have so much back row, it doesn't hurt you doing so. This also means your opponent can't like honor arc in one turn because they can't go 4 summon, special summon another 4. Oh, then the 2 summons gone. You know, they can't go on Exciton. Normal summon, special summon. There's my 2 summons. You know, and your Noble Knight cards will beat over them. Divine Wrath. I've already explained why discard cards are so good for this because you have free discards. And yeah, shout out to the Button Masher for coming up with this one here. The Button Masher also is the only other person that I've seen on YouTube who I actually will trust with advice when it comes to Noble Knights. Purely because he's the only other person that I can tell actually plays the deck how it should be played and plays it to actually play the deck and not try to play it like another deck. Like, Noble Knights do not play like 6 amps. They don't go boom 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 boom. Monsters everywhere in the field, you know, flood, attack. You know, they're slow. They're inherently slow. They're inherently duel. They're about dueling and getting rid of your opponent's advantage and keeping your advantage up for a long time. This card's very good because you've had 2 Dristans out and you've managed to decrease their attack somehow. Like, you go on Arf, Gwen pop Arf and have the Dristan's Arf effect. You know, and they're like sitting at less than 1800 each. You can Dristan lock. And then they also can't hit this because Dristan's effect is they can't target with attacks or card effects any card you have with less than 1800 attack. This card is very viable in this deck. Also, if you have your boss monster out and you have a Gwen or a Dristan on, if he's light, you can summon this and then use the Gwen or the Gwen or the Destiny to keep it alive. Just interesting things you can do. Like, I'm not saying you should run these cards, I'm just saying these are interesting things you can do stuff with. Full House is another interesting card. It's very, very, very situational. It's sideboard at best. You can pop your own 2 face-up cards and then 3 face-downs. Good with this deck because you can pop 2 face-up cards you have, and then a lot of noble arms to re-equip anyway. You can chain it to them trying to MST and pop their shit. Or I'm about to sneeze. Or this card, which I've actually been playtesting and is really, really funny with this deck. And that's Turnabout. The effect of Turnabout is, if there is a face-up monster on the field whose current level is different from its original level, change all monsters in the field to face-down defense position. This is good for a counter matchup as well, because I wouldn't run this unless, of course, you're running at least another Parados. So you have 7 or 8 monsters which are level change. Or I guess you could run it if you have, like, if you run 2 ladies like I do, because you can use ladies to eat their levels and use that. But you know, this card is really, really funny because if you're stuck in a shit situation, you can flip all your opponent's monsters and your monsters to face down defense rather than losing it. I don't want to go into too many examples, but one example I did have is I was up against a person who had double Beals, and as a lot of people know, double Beals in Noble Knight, except with Front Encounter, is quite hard to get rid of. Now, what happened was, all I had was a boss. So what I did was, when he went to attack with his Beals, I played Turnabout, and I flipped all his cards face down. So then he had 2 set Beals. Next turn I put my balls up, equipped to search. I had 1,300 life left. I played Soul Charge. I brought back my rank 4 guy, and then I banished that Excalibur into the grave to go into the rank 5. I attached Arth onto him, I shoot it up. I used his effect to destroy one of the face down deals, and I used Arth to destroy the other face down deals. Like, that's just one example of how, and that was my second game playtesting this. Like, this card isn't amazing. It's not going to win you every single game. It's not going to just get rid of cards and stop your opponent's play. But it can screw them up if they're reliant on having cards face up on the field, or if they're reliant on using all their effects to summon out and XYZ or synchro off. Like, this can screw up your opponent really well. Like, if your guy would die anyway and you play this, it's not really going to hurt you that much, especially if you manage to stop them doing something. Like, you can also chain it to full house, so you can full house, targeting, destroy your face-up cards. You play Turnabout, you lose your equip spells anyway, right? And then you destroy 3 of their sets, and all their monsters go set. Set spells and traps, and all monsters go set. So, it's just the play that's interesting. But I can see people citing this card. It's really funny. It's really cheap, but it's interesting the interactions it has in Noble Knights, especially, like I said, with the mirror matchup. This card can work for something interesting. And for other cards which are good in the deck, Maestro, I took that out because I wasn't using a lot. It's not bad though. Vajinki Amaterasu, the problem is you need 3 level 4s for this, but when you're late game and half your crap's banished, bringing them back is pretty fun. The only other problem about this is it's low attack. Blade Armor Ninja I have taken out because I'd rather stop my opponent than try to kill him one turn, which has never happened. Yeah. Gaga Cowboy, because he's warrior, he's always fun, you know what he does. And Ragnar Zero, because tanky decks, Dolce, Noble Knight, Count Up, Noble Knight, mirror matches, anything that has the attack difference, you just, destroy it. And then you get draw cards. So it's good because you get the draw on top. I'm really surprised it didn't come out in Super, because it's honestly not a bad card. But yeah, they're just other things you can run. I haven't done a lot of tips and tricks in this, but I've been really, really busy, guys, and sorry about that. Hopefully I'll get some better videos out. This was pretty rushed, this one, because I wanted to get it done while I had a chance, and I've got a few other videos that I need to get done, but yeah, hope you all enjoyed, and like, thumb, whatever, comment, subscribe, whatever you want to do. If you like my videos, like them if you do like them, because it encourages me to make more. I really do want to get videos of, ideas and different decks and different styles of decks that people don't generally do, because I do see a lot of decks online which are just stock standard. Like the majority of the Noble Knight decks I've seen either don't run, even post PRIO, don't run brothers, they run 1 brothers, and they don't run a field spell, and they still run 3 Gawains and shit. And, well, the way that, if you try this deck profile out, you're going to realize that you don't need 3 Gawains, and a lot of the time you probably only need 1. Like, I like trying different decks and different cards out that can work. I don't like going with what everyone else has shown to work. I like to be one of the guys that shows, look, this works. Like, turn it out. I like to be one of those guys that says, look, there's a card that's plausible. Like, that's plausible main board, not just sideboard. But yeah, I do like giving you guys advice, so it does help me out to encourage me to make more if you guys like the videos and whatnot. So, anyway, Dragon Arthur and House Rent out.